The notification hit your phone at 3:47 a.m. Not a test, not a drill, just 4 words that made your blood freeze. NATO Article 5 activated. By the time you rubbed the sleep from your eyes and opened Twitter, the videos were already flooding in. Mushroom clouds over European capitals. Not movie CGI, not training exercises, real cities becoming past tense. Your timeline is a schizophrenic nightmare of prayer emojis and radiation radius maps. Welcome to day one of World War III, where your biggest enemy isn't Russia or China, it's every other American who just realized the same thing you did. 4:15 a.m. You're doing the math every American is doing right now. How far is Warsaw from Washington? How many ICBMs does Russia have? What's the flight time from a submarine launch? But here's the joke that's not funny. While you're calculating missile trajectories, your neighbor is already at Walmart. By the time you decide to get dressed, the parking lot looks like Black Friday had a baby with the apocalypse. 5 a.m. Every gas station within 50 miles has lines stretching around the block. Regular unleaded just hit $15 a gallon, and that's if they're still pumping. Credit card machines are down, the banks have frozen transactions to prevent panic, cash only, exact change. That emergency 100 in your wallet just became worth about 30 seconds of fuel. The smart ones aren't filling tanks, they're filling jerry cans, trash cans, anything that holds liquid. The stupid ones are fighting over pump access while their engines idle, burning the very resource they're fighting for. 6:30 a.m., the president addresses the nation. Sort of. The video cuts out twice. His words are careful, measured, meaningless. Monitoring the situation, in communication with allies, no immediate threat to the homeland. That last line is when everyone knows we're fucked. Because governments don't reassure you about threats that don't exist. Meanwhile, your phone is having a seizure, emergency alerts, news notifications, text from relatives you haven't spoken to since Christmas. The cellular network is collapsing under the weight of everyone's last words. 8 a.m., grocery stores become war zones. Not metaphorically. Karen from yoga class just threw an elbow for the last case of water. The deli counter looks like a Viking raid. The pharmacy section? Stripped bare in minutes. Antibiotics, painkillers, insulin, gone. That polite veneer of civilization you thought was permanent? It lasted exactly 4 hours and 13 minutes after the first bomb dropped an ocean away. Here's what nobody's considering while they're fighting over canned beans. The supply chain just had a stroke. Those trucks that resupply stores every night, the drivers are home with their families. The distribution centers locked down. The ships heading to ports turning around. In 72 hours, every shelf will be empty and stay that way. But sure, grab that 12th case of Monster Energy. I'm sure caffeine will be super helpful in the radiation zones. 10 a.m. The internet becomes a weapon of mass confusion. Russian bots, Chinese psyops, and good old American panic blend into an information smoothie that tastes like insanity. Chicago is nuked. No, wait, that's fake. But Seattle is gone. No, that's from a video game. The EMP is coming. Stock market crashed. Martial law declared. Everything is true. Nothing is true. Your aunt shares a radiation protection recipe involving iodine and essential oils. This is how democracy dies. Not with bombs, but with Facebook posts. Noon. The first real confirmation comes through official channels. NATO bases in Poland, Germany, and Turkey have been hit. Tactical nukes, not strategic. The distinction matters to exactly nobody watching mushroom clouds on their phone. The stock market doesn't crash. It simply ceases to exist. Trading halted indefinitely. Your 401k just became a very expensive screensaver. 2 p.m. This is when the real psychology kicks in. The initial panic buyers are home now, surrounded by toilet paper and bottled water, realizing they forgot batteries, and food that doesn't need cooking, and medicine, and about 1,000 other things. Wave 2 of shoppers hits the stores. These ones bring weapons. Not to use, yet, just to display. Amazing how persuasive open carry becomes when resources get scarce. The highways tell their own story. Every lane outbound is packed. Inbound? Empty. The Great American Bug Out begins. Millions of people with the same plan. Get to the countryside. As if radiation respects city limits. As if rural communities want 50,000 refugees showing up with empty gas tanks and entitlement attitudes. The traffic jams stretch for miles. Fights break out at every exit. Kids crying, engines overheating. The American refugee crisis begins. And we're both the refugees and the crisis. 4 p.m. The president speaks again. This time the message is different. Strategic forces are at DEFCON 2. For those keeping score at home, that's one step from launch. Civilians are advised to shelter in place. Interstate travel is discouraged. That's government speak for the highways are death traps, but we can't say that without causing more panic. He mentions the emergency broadcast system will provide updates. The same system that hasn't been properly tested since the Cold War. Fantastic. 6 p.m. The first American city takes a hit, but not from bombs. Seattle's power grid crashes. Not from an attack, from demand. Everyone charging everything, running everything, panic downloading everything. The cascade begins. Portland follows, then San Francisco. The infrastructure built for normal times shits the bed in abnormal ones. Now you've got American cities in darkness while we're still technically at peace. The war hasn't even reached us yet, and we're already defeating ourselves. 8 p.m. brings the rumors that aren't rumors. Submarines detected off both coasts. Fighter jets scrambled. The sonic booms of military aircraft become the new soundtrack. Your neighbors are digging foxholes in their backyards like soil will stop a nuclear warhead. Others are spray painting the roofs with messages for God or aliens or whatever they think is watching. Humanity regressing to cave paintings just with better materials. 10 p.m. 20 hours since the first bombs fell in Europe. China still hasn't moved, which is somehow worse than if they had. The waiting, the wondering whether Taiwan is about to become the flashpoint that brings the war to your doorstep. India and Pakistan are eyeing each other. Israel has gone mysteriously quiet. The whole world is a gun store, and someone just yelled fire. Midnight. You realize something that should have been obvious 12 hours ago. All those movies about nuclear war, they skip this part. The part where you're not dead, not dying, just waiting. Sitting in your dark house because you're smart enough to practice light discipline. Listening to distant sirens and closer gunshots. Wondering if that flash on the horizon is lightning or the beginning of the end. Your phone died 6 hours ago. The hand crank radio gives you fragments. Boston is evacuating. Or was that Austin? The president is in the bunker. Congress is scattered. The chain of command is intact but invisible. Perfect metaphor for government. Theoretically functional, practically useless. Your neighbor's generator drones on, advertising their preparedness to everyone within a mile. It'll be stolen by dawn. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. We're 3 missed meals from chaos, and we've already missed 2. The bombs haven't fallen on America, but America is falling anyway. Not from enemy action, but from our own panic. The supply chains that feed us, the systems that serve us, the thin blue line that protects us, they all assumed we'd stay calm. We didn't. We won't. We can't. 3 a.m. 24 hours since the world changed. Europe burns. America tears itself apart from the inside. The war hasn't reached us, but we've brought it home anyway. In our panic, our greed, our every man for himself response, we've done more damage than any enemy could. The real bombs don't need to fall. We're our own weapon of mass destruction. You sit in your house, surrounded by whatever supplies you managed to grab before the madness peaked. Maybe you're lucky, maybe you prepared, maybe you've got weeks of food and water. But here's the thing about being prepared in an unprepared society, you're just the last one to starve. Tomorrow, the real decisions begin. Do you stay in your suburban fortress, waiting for the grid to die completely? Do you join the refugee streams, heading nowhere? Do you band with neighbors you barely know, hoping community trumps chaos? Every choice is wrong. Every option ends badly. The only question is which flavor of fuck do you prefer? But there's one choice that'll kill you faster than radiation. Grabbing your bug out bag and hitting the highway. That tactical backpack, It's just marking you as a target. Want to know why bugging out is the worst decision you could make right now? Watch this next. Because when society collapses, motion isn't progress. It's just a faster way to die.